Games, Tony competed in 17 events. He medaled in 16 of them.
Tony Hawk, the best skateboarder the sport has ever seen.
While 10 gold medals are nice, some things mean more than the hard way.
Tony Hawk's got something up his sleeve right here. I don't know what it is. 900!
Steve, what's up? It's Tony Hawk. Hey, I just want to wish you good luck at your Agtech Summit Mexico 2022. That's this year, so I assume that's coming up soon. And it sounds like you use a lot of your time and money to invest in social projects. Please keep it up. Investing in your neighborhood and giving back and investing in the community. That's what I like to think that I do with my Skateboard Foundation, helping to build public parks in underserved areas. And I want to thank you for using me as an example of not giving up. I guess specifically of doing 980 in the 99X games, but also just not giving up in terms of staying the course even when things are rough. I mean, I made it through 2 waves of unpopular cycles of skateboarding, and I'm still here to talk about it, and I'm still skating as much as I can, even though I just broke my leg recently. I am getting back on the board. Hey, keep it up, good luck, and I'll see you down the line.
All right, so when Adrian called me to talk about doing this talk, he said, hey, Steve, good news. I want you to do that talk that you love to do, the 7 mistakes that entrepreneurs make. That's the good news. The bad news is I'm not going to give you enough time, so you get to talk about 2 of them. So we'll be talking about 2 mistakes that I've seen in my 24-year career of doing this that entrepreneurs often make. Now, to be sure, venture capitalists make thousands and thousands of mistakes too, so someday maybe you do this in reverse and talk about the mistakes that venture capitalists make. But we're going to talk about 2 today. But before we dive in on that, I want to make sure, and Bud referenced this in his talk, it's been the touchstone of Kirchner since the company was founded. Every business can be improved, and every business should improve the world. It's really a simple but very, very powerful idea and true. Often forgotten when people are in the mode of corporate earnings or the only thing that matters is shareholder value. You know, those are ideas that I don't embrace. And I think if we can look to ideas like this, we're going to be in a lot better place down the road. But I want to make sure we're on the same page as it relates to impact. When I say the word impact, what do we mean by impact investing or impact company? There are lots of great definitions, and there's some that are far more robust than what I'm about to say. But for me, it's really pretty simple. What is the thing that the company does? What's the good or service that the company provides? And does that good or service make the world a better place? All right? Or is it reasonable to think that it will make the world a better place? The second is, and perhaps more importantly, is how does that company conduct itself as it delivers that good or service? You know, does it treat its people well? Does it treat its employees well? Does it treat its vendors well? Does it treat its customers with respect and treat them well? And most importantly, perhaps for all of us, is does it treat the environment and the community that you're in well? If a company does that, even if they're in a traditional business that may not be super impactful with what it does or the good or service that it makes, I still view them as an impact company. But for sure, when you do both, it's incredibly impactful. All right, so problem number 1, mistake number 1 that I see a lot, and the culture really, really reinforces this, and that makes it a little more difficult, is the emphasis, particularly when you're raising money, to emphasize salesmanship over accuracy, okay? Now, you need salesmanship for sure, like the presentations that we're seeing here today. We need that. You've got to get someone's attention, right? So I'm not talking about this. This is great. Put your best foot forward. You've got to get their attention. But once that's done, and most of what I'm going to talk about today is really in the context of the next meeting, okay? You're coming to my office. You're coming to Hector's office, you're coming to another venture capitalist office to raise money. That's really the interexchange that I'm talking about when I talk about this mistake. Now, there's certainly super high profile examples of emphasizing salesmanship over accuracy, and Elizabeth Holmes, unfortunately for her, is perhaps the poster child of that. Now, I don't think Elizabeth Holmes set out to commit fraud. She probably started with exaggeration. And then exaggeration led to deception, and then deception probably led to fraud, and ultimately which led to jail. But she learned, to some degree, from one of the legends in venture capital and entrepreneurship, which is Steve Jobs, who also, in many stages in his career was on the edge, on the line of truthfulness and candor, and certainly wasn't in the category of accuracy. And it worked out, well enough for him. But because of that success, and I don't know if you can read it right here, I don't think you can, but it says how Steve Jobs misled a room full of tech media and changed the world. That's referring to 2007, the introduction of the iPhone. It was not ready. It did not work. All right, and they had people in the back room faking the software. They had the bar that said how many bars did you get on the phone? It was faked. I mean, there was a lot of deception going on, and that's not good. And it's not fine. That happened. The point to me is that became a bit legendary. This whole idea of kind of fake it till you make it got fuel, okay? And I think that's really the wrong direction for us as we think about the things that we're trying to do. So again, what I'm talking about is the interaction when, so you guys succeed, you go a little bit further, you're going out to raise venture capital money. We just heard from the group that's out there raising capital right now. What happens in that exchange? Okay, so I'm in my office, and you're on your way up in the elevator, or down in the case of our office. And so what's in my head when you walk in the door? The most important thing to me is, do I want to work with these people? That's it. Can I trust them? Will they tell me the truth? That is the most important thing. Of all the things that I'm underwriting in that meeting, that is number one. If you won't tell me the truth, I can't work with you. Okay? If we don't have trust, all we have is contracts and lawyers. And I don't want to live my life with contracts and lawyers. Okay? So the thing I'm underwriting, number one, is trust. And the way to earn the trust is with accuracy. Accuracy, disclosure, and transparency. And again, I fully appreciate you have to have enough salesmanship to keep the attention, to get people excited. I acknowledge that. But once we're past that, I want to focus on accuracy. I'm going to tell you about two CEOs, two companies that we invested in over the years. Both great teams, and they were relentless about accuracy. Okay, GridSmart, run by a gentleman who was the CEO named Bill Malkus, who built a great culture, definitely an impact company. He was always giving us the bad news first. Always. In fact, it was almost tiresome at some point. I was like, please, Bill, call me with some good news. I want some good news sometimes. But he did that, and so he had incredible credibility with me, and just tremendous credibility. If he said, this is what we need to do, I had belief in him, I had confidence, and I trusted him. Another one is John Kepler, and that company, by the way, sold. He grew it. Well, he made a ton of money. Good for him. Now we have money in the hands of a good person who's going to do good things with it. John Kepler, this is a company that's now trading on the New York Stock Exchange. They came into our office early on, and this was really a meeting I'll never forget. We're in our office, and he's presenting, and we're maybe, 4 or 5 pages into the presentation, and I'm ready to move on to the next page in the deck. And he stops me. He stops the meeting, and he says, before we go to this next page, I'm not sure you understand the risk that I am describing. He didn't want to go to the next page until he made sure that I understood what I was getting into, that I understood something that could go wrong. He was doing that because he valued the relationship higher than just about anything else. If that thing went wrong, we were in it together at that point. Like if that thing went wrong in the future, we were there together. He had disclosed it to me. I knew it. We could work together to overcome the risk. But he built tremendous credibility with me on that day. So I'm going to now tell you something that I've been waiting for 24 years to have happen. It has not happened in my venture capital career. I've been waiting for an entrepreneur to come into my office and say present their pro forma, present their projections the way I'm about to show you. I've been waiting for 24 years. It's never happened. Okay, so you come in and you present your numbers. It's going to be good. Now you believe this, and you should believe this, and you should do everything in your power to be able to prove this. Now granted, in my head, I'm going to discount it. It's just kind of what we do. But you're going to fight against that. That's a good fight, okay? I'm going to say, well, what about this? And you're going to say, no. I've got these contracts, or I'm in these conversations, and we won't get them all, but if we get some of them, I can hit these numbers. This is a 50% probability number that I'm going to hit. I believe we can do this. I'm committing to you that this is plan A. So that's good, and I've heard that kind of thing before. But then I haven't heard this, ever. But if it doesn't happen, if I'm wrong, and it looks like this is how I'm going to manage cash to make sure that we survive. Maybe that's a low probability event. But then it says to me, okay, first of all, they're being honest about, now I believe this line a little bit more. But I know they've thought about the things that can go wrong, and they've thought about, can the company survive and get through it if it doesn't go the way they think it's going to go. Now, at this point, you'd think, okay, this presentation is not going well. You've just shown me, this number, and now you show me that number. There's no way they're going to invest, and you're right. The other thing that you have to see, or at least in my case, that I want to see is, could it be a big thing? I'm going to underwrite on this. I'm going to make my investment decision based on something in here, okay? And that thing right there can produce a pretty darn good return. But what I really also want to know in a perfect scenario is that there's a legitimate chance that could happen. You don't have to prove that to me because I'm not going to believe it anyway. But if you said to me, you know what? If this happens, which could, and if this happens, which it could, then that can happen. And I can say, you know what? There's a decent chance that could happen. And so if I have a portfolio of companies that are underwritten on this, and I have a few of them that can do that, then I've got a good portfolio. So I would encourage you to think about the way you present, and maybe there's something in there that would be useful or beneficial. So one last thought on kind of issue one of salesmanship versus accuracy. I want to go back to this idea about faking it until you make it. Now, there are lots of, this is actually not a bad book. It gets pretty good reviews. But the cover I couldn't resist because I really just can't stand the idea of fake it till you make it. So I was talking to a group in Guatemala of entrepreneurs, and I said that. I was trashing fake it till you make it. And one of the entrepreneurs said, yeah, I think you're wrong. Like, I don't think you get it. It's okay. And he made a really excellent point. And his excellent point was, look, I need to find confidence somehow to continue moving ahead and to make this presentation. I've got to find a way to summon confidence. And the way I can do that is by faking it a little bit. So, okay, I get the problem. That's a legit problem. But is there a better way to summon that confidence and summon that energy? And I think there is. All right, I think the better way to summon that confidence and that energy is in purpose. And determination. So again, you're in the elevator. You're about to go to the meeting. You're nervous. You want this to happen. Rather than saying, oh, okay, how do I pretend to be something? Say, look, I know this problem that I'm trying to solve. I am determined to try to solve it. No one can question your determination. No one can ever question your passion. And if you miss something or mess something up in the meeting, you're not wrecked. You still have that. You're never going to be wrong if you're pulling your confidence out of the problem that you're trying to solve. So pull it from your passion, which again leads to the second issue that I see a lot. Not so much in this group, which is incredibly refreshing, but our firm has been doing venture capital investments for 24 years. And about 12 years ago, we started to see a trend. And we were having more financial success. We were making more money for our investors when the management team was driven first and foremost by a passion to solve the problem. That was the root driver. Getting rich was the second thing. Getting rich was the thing that would happen if you solved the problem. But the teams that we invested in that was first and foremost was about getting rich, we found we didn't do as well. And I believe it's because when that's your primary driver, you're going to quit a little bit sooner. You're not gonna be as determined to overcome the obstacles that come your way, because they will. Or you might take outsized risks when it's not going well. And for me, I also found that the people that were purpose-driven were just a hell of a lot more fun to work with when you could kind of lock arms and you could say, okay, we're going to try to solve this problem together. And so the purpose-driven entrepreneurial team is the far more powerful engine than the greed-driven team. So I think it's worth evaluating yourself. I mean, I believe that to be true. I could be wrong, but I believe that to be true. So evaluate yourself and kind of what's motivating you. I have a sense that in this room it's pretty heavily purpose-driven, and that's really encouraging. So that gets us to Tony Hawk, all right? My now new friend, Tony Hawk. I'm sure I will be exaggerating soon when I say, yeah, Tony was calling me the other day. All right, so why do I think this event is great? And when this is done, they may actually show the exact clip from 1999 when this happened. So Tony Hawk, at one point the most well-known athlete on earth, was in the 1999 X Games, and he was competing and he was trying to do the 900, which is a spin, okay? And no one had ever done it. And he didn't hit it. And he finished third in the competition. All right, he finished third. Prize money? Any guess? Anybody? $5,000. That was the prize money. Can you believe that? $5,000. The winner got $13,000. Things have changed. All right, but he goes out afterwards. It's over. The contest is over. He's finished third. He walks back out there. He grabs his board and he goes back out. People are still kind of milling around. And then what's Tony Hawk doing? Well, he gets back out there and he starts to do his routine again, and he fails. He falls again. And he was trying to do the 900. He was determined to do the 900. It wasn't about winning the thing, although he wanted to win. He wanted to get rich, but that wasn't what was driving him. What was driving him was to accomplish this thing. And try after try after try, and you'll see the video, I hope, he eventually succeeds. No one remembers who finished first, but this is one of the most heavily viewed YouTube clips that exist. Hundreds and hundreds of millions of views. But it was driven by his passion to solve a problem, more so than a passion to win the trophy, so to speak. The other one that you're going to see, it's a 2-minute clip, is this guy. Has anyone here seen this documentary about Euro? Okay. This is a gentleman, you're going to see, and I won't go too much into it, but is perhaps the greatest sushi chef that's ever lived. His store, his restaurant, is in a subway station. His whole career is about perfecting his craft. Every single day. And to me, in many respects, this is an even more powerful lesson than the Tony Hawk lesson. So Adrian, next year I expect to get a video from Euro. Okay. He's 94, so you got to get on that. Yeah, okay. All right. But it's truly beautiful, his dedication to improving his craft. So if you think about a business that's maybe not so impactful, this is maybe the better model. How do I get up every day and improve my craft and be truly, truly great, and always treating people and planet well, of course. So I'm incredibly fortunate to be working with some great companies right now that I believe fit that model. Now, one of them you're going to see here is a company from Mexico, Selena, who's one of our sponsors, and thank you very much for their participation, working on regenerative agriculture. They seem to have all of these pieces. Lucky Iron Fish is a company out of Canada that's working on iron deficiency anemia, incredibly novel way, fantastic company. They've got all the pieces. TrackRef is one that I'm absolutely in love with right now, and trying to stop refrigerant leakage, which is the #1 nasty thing that we emit into the atmosphere that increases global warming, and people don't pay attention to it. This guy is obsessed with solving the refrigerant problem, and he's going to be very wealthy because of it, I believe. But he's building a great team. And this last one, Red Sea Farms, is a company out of Saudi Arabia, which is actually beginning, and their whole passion is about harsh environment agriculture. How do we give people the ability to grow crops in places historically where you haven't been able to, usually hot and dry? And they're proving out an ability to grow crops in salt water, if you can believe that, and cool things in innovative ways. And actually, their production of prototypes is occurring in Mexico right now. And we've been able to be helpful to bring them here to hopefully supply equipment into the North American market over time. But these are great companies that truly fit the model of impact, and they have great management teams which are truly purpose-driven, and I expect they're going to be very successful and hopefully financially rewarded for that. So a couple of final thoughts. So those are the big two, okay? That's all I got. So those are my two for today. A couple of last thoughts. One is this. These ideas, we don't think enough as entrepreneurs and investors about the way people make decisions in these situations. One of the best resources I've ever seen is on the Kirchner Impact Foundation website, and it's Exploring the Business Brain Model. And this is a marvelous resource available to all of us. And it's basically taking much of what Bud Kirchner has spent his entire career learning about how business people make decisions, looking at the way neuroscience and brains operate, and helping us evaluate inside ourselves how are we making decisions and how are our teams making decisions. So I strongly encourage you to continue building your knowledge base, and Exploring the Business Brain Model is a gift from Bud to all of us that care about doing business the right way, and I strongly encourage you to dig in on that. The last thought is this, and maybe I'm sneaking in problem 3 here, is there's popular culture and media is trying to promote this idea that you can control your future. You're the entrepreneur, and you're going to control your destiny, and you're a self-made person, and you're going to control the future. Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's ridiculous. All right, we don't control outcomes. We do not control outcomes, period, ever. What do we control? Pick your list, but it's probably effort, attitude, and maybe the values you choose to live by. That's it. So how does this play out? All right, one, it gives you an ability to generate humility as you move through your career. All right, if you keep in mind that you never control outcomes, you can influence outcomes. We want to do our best to influence outcomes. We want to do that, but we don't control outcomes, which means you're not the master of the universe. We have to be humble. Our companies have to have some humility. We as individuals have to have some humility about what's going to happen next, which makes us prepare better. All right, it makes us see more risk. We're able to see the things that can go wrong because we know we don't control the ultimate outcome. The other thing is it improves your quality of life as an entrepreneur. And this is really important because being an entrepreneur is incredibly difficult. Entrepreneurial teams, the life of an entrepreneurial team, as you guys know, is incredibly difficult. It's demanding on you, it's your employees, your family, everyone. It requires tremendous sacrifice. It's not easy. And it may not work. 2 scenarios, let's play them out. 1, it doesn't work. You come into my office, we have a great meeting, you show me the charts, we said we're going to try to solve this problem together. We go forth, and guess what? One of the risks that we identified came true, and it kills us. It's a pandemic. It's some technology flaw we didn't see. So we're 3-4 years down the road, and we're dead. I lost my money, our investors' money, you lost your job. Okay, this sucks, right? This is bad, right? This is really bad. But our relationship's okay. Like, I know that we were in it together. I know that you disclosed everything to me. I know that you were purpose-driven to solve a problem. Yeah, we're both incredibly disappointed. But we could do stuff. We have not ruined the relationship, okay? Now so you just told me that, and now even harder conversation, you go see your employees. And you got to let them know the bad news. It didn't work. It applies. What did we do here, guys? It didn't work. We knew we had some risk. One of them got us, but we did it the right way. We did it with values. We poured our heart and soul into this thing, and it didn't work. We didn't solve the problem. You're okay. A lot of disappointment. It's bad. And now you got to go home. Same thing. Didn't work. You talk to your spouse, it didn't work. But your spouse and your kids, they know, they saw you. You did it the right way. You did it with the right values. But no, it didn't work out. but you're okay with them. Then you go outside and you're in your community and you say, you know what? I didn't solve the problem. You're incredibly disappointed. But maybe you advance the body of knowledge towards solving that problem. Maybe one of your employees is going to go solve that problem. Maybe you're going to reload and try it again. All right, you probably advanced the body of knowledge. All right, scenario one, kind of a bummer. All right, scenario two, let's say it works. All right, it works. And you make a lot of money, okay? And your employees make a lot of money. So you come into our office, we're all happy, but hopefully at that point, you've still got some humility and you've still got these values, and we haven't created some rich jerk who thinks he's the master of the universe and conducts himself that way, okay? We've got a good person with values who now is rich, all right? The employees are happy. Hopefully you go home and tell your family they're happy. They know you're not a jerk. You're still a good person with values. You go outside and you see the positive impact you made because you've helped solve this problem. That's really great. But think about the fact that now you're rich. Hopefully you still have a heart. You haven't lost it. You've still got values. And society and the economy has now made you the steward of vast resources. Okay, you are rich. All right? That's okay if the capital and the resources are in the hands of people who give a damn and want to make a positive difference. So maybe you go solve another problem, or maybe you host an event like this and you empower 15 or 30 or 50 other companies to go solve problems that they care about. I like scenario two a lot better. It's a lot more fun. If there's anything that we can do, anyone in this room, to be helpful to you, if you're doing legitimate impact work, which I think you are, please know that we will do everything in our power to try to be helpful to you. But thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. I appreciate it.